Now at 6:30, Arctic air brings frigid conditions to parts of Appalachia. This as more communities continue to struggle with deadly flood waters.
We're all coordinating to try and cover as much geographic area as we can.
Plus, President Donald Trump announces new tariffs.
Every day there's a different tariff and a different plan.
Tonight, what products are going to cost you more and how this could impact American businesses.
I really think there is no ceiling with this team as long as we keep doing what we're doing.
And in sports, after a year of injuries, a new leader is stepping up for his team. Meet the junior leading the way for Ohio wrestling. Newswatch starts right now.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Alex Imwali.
And I'm Donovan Varney. We have several important stories to get to tonight, but first we want to take a look at your forecast.
For more, we turn to forecaster Steve Nedlick. Steve, we're seeing some colder temperatures set in tonight. What can you tell us about them?
Yeah, we're really seeing these cold temperatures throughout a majority of the Midwest. As you can see, we have these temperatures sitting at about 10, 14, 15 degrees, and that's really what we're going to be expecting throughout the rest of this week. So we're going to be sitting at temperatures around 15, 20, maybe 30 degrees, but once we get to the weekend is when we start to see a little bit of a change. Now, even with these cold temperatures, we did get lucky and avoided that snow we thought we might get earlier in the week. Now with that, again, the colder temperatures are coming because of the clear skies, but that snow we thought we were going to get earlier in the week doesn't seem like it's going to get us. Now, taking a look at Columbus and those areas, they still are under a winter weather advisory, but even then, they're only expected to get about an inch of snow, so that's great news. Taking a look, again, the lack of clouds is what's really going to allow us to see these overnight temperatures drop to 14 degrees. And then as we look into tomorrow, much of the same with a high only of 24. So stay tuned as we look into the rest of the week next.
Thanks, Steve. Dangerously cold conditions are expected to impact over 60 million Americans now through the weekend, teeing up an intense winter storm system that's dumping snow on a number of southeastern states.
For some, it all comes as their communities try to recover from deadly floods that washed through parts of the same region just days ago. Laura Aguirre reports.
We are experiencing a snowstorm on top of a flooding event.
Flooding known to have killed around a dozen people in Kentucky last weekend. Now the state and region is enveloped in snow and frigid temperatures.
We had one part of our state that received 8 inches of snow, western Kentucky getting a significant amount, some parts with 6 plus.
The governor says at least 2 people appear to have died from hypothermia. Local outreach organizations are mobilizing to keep that death toll from rising.
And we're all coordinating to try and cover as much geographic area as we can to make sure that people have enough supplies to keep them safe.
Flooding is still a concern. Kentucky alone reports more than 1,000 rescues since the weekend. Temporary flood walls have been set up in some cities, like Louisville.
Once this wall goes in place and once the pump stations go live, our teams will be running these pump stations until the Ohio River crest.
A crest that's not expected until Friday.
Yesterday, I declared a state of emergency across North Carolina.
North Carolina, Arkansas, and Virginia all declaring emergencies to weather the snowstorm.
Snow began in the mountains earlier this morning and will continue moving eastward throughout the afternoon and evening.
By Friday, forecasters predict about 3/4 of the U.S. will experience below freezing temperatures, some places as much as 50 degrees below February averages.
We get through this weekend, going into next week. It's going to get in the 40s at least, and that's going to feel balmy for most of us.
I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
Joann's Fabric and Crafts is closing over 500 stores across the U.S., more than half of its current locations. Last month, the company filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection for the second time in a year. The retailer pointed to issues like inventory shortages and slow consumer demand. Stores across Southeast Ohio will be affected, including stores in Athens, Lancaster, and Marietta. It is unclear when the stores will close and what will happen to affected employees. Governor Mike DeWine's proposed budget includes over $20 billion for education, but could lead to cuts for public schools.
Ohio House Bill 96 gives $16 billion to traditional public schools, but that is after a current spending cut of over $100 million over 2 years. This means over half of school districts will get less state funding, while vouchers and charter schools get almost $500 million increase. State voucher programs will get over $2 million in funding, while charter and STEM schools will get almost $3 million. The bill is currently in the House Finance Committee, and House Republicans say they hope it will pass around the Easter break. State lawmakers are considering a bill that could completely reshape higher education in Ohio.
That's right. Newswatch reporter Reese Thompson spoke to Ohio University students about what Senate Bill 1 could mean for life on campus.
Alex and Donovan, a large number of protesters gathered at the State House last week to urge lawmakers not to pass the bill. Many of them students who say keeping DEI centers outweigh the cost of removing them. Mia Walsh, a student at Ohio University, says she has found a second home at the Pride Center.
The way to feel connected to campus was through different student orgs, and a lot of the ones that I felt the most home at were housed through the Pride Center.
It is one of 3 offices in Baker University Center and where many students find a safe space to hang out. Under Senate Bill 1, these offices could potentially be taken away, something Walsh says is frightening.
My heart definitely breaks at the thought of this bill passing and the rug being pulled out from these students that have grown accustomed to having a place where they can be themselves.
Walsh testified against the bill at a hearing last week. Senate Bill 1 is part of larger efforts in multiple states and at the federal level to eliminate DEI policies and programs. But Walsh says she wants lawmakers to realize taking away DEI centers doesn't take away the need of students looking for support.
Even if these centers aren't allowed to exist anymore, the students are still going to be here, and that need isn't going to go away.
If you're walking on campus at Ohio University, it's likely you'll see the sign "Make Respect Visible" posted all over campus. This is the university's slogan to promote diversity and inclusion. But if Senate Bill 1 passes, that means signs like these will need to be taken down because it's a part of the university's DEI efforts. Curtis Lemon is an organizer of an LGBT group. She says the signs are a positive reminder to students how to treat others.
When those reminders go away, people who already had the inclinations to be ignorant or maybe a little bit mean, it's the same thing as if you let a kid get away with bullying another student.
Walsh says if the bill passes, she believes that groups of people who hang out in the centers will continue to do so, just in a different setting. Senate Bill 1 currently sits in the Ohio House. Reporting for Newswatch, I'm Reese Thompson, live in studio.
WOUB is your source for news in Southeast Ohio. For the latest news across the region, head to our website, woub.org, or download the WOUB app.
A top Ohio federal prosecutor was fired Tuesday, allowing President Trump to appoint a new attorney for the district. Kenneth Parker, the former U.S. attorney for the Southern District of Ohio, served as the top federal prosecutor since 2021. Parker was nominated by former President Joe Biden and approved by a unanimous vote in the Senate. While in office, Parker and his team won a public corruption case against former Speaker of the Ohio House, Larry Householder, and the former chairman of the Ohio GOP, Matt Borges. Further layoffs and funding cuts to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau have been halted for now. But with the agency's work on hold by the Trump administration, consumer advocates are very concerned. Karen Kafa has more on what these cuts could mean for your money.
Since 2011, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau says it's secured over $20 billion in relief for more than 200 million consumers.
If you're having trouble with your student lender and you made the payment and it's not showing up on your bill, you go to the CFPB. If you're a service member and you fall prey to a predatory loan, you go to the CFPB.
As part of its effort to slash the federal workforce, the Trump administration ordered the CFPB to stop work, stalling investigations, and suspending the effective dates of newly finalized consumer protections, like banning medical debt on credit reports, capping most credit card late fees at $8, and capping bank overdraft fees at $5. Last week, Senator Elizabeth Warren, who helped create the CFPB, asked Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell what the banking landscape might look like without it.
If the CFPB is not there examining these giant banks to make sure they are following the laws on not cheating consumers, who is doing that job?
I can say no other federal regulator.
No one.
Some Republicans argue state regulators can handle consumer complaints.
So to characterize that nobody's out there looking for consumers, I think, is inaccurate. And we ought not to try and scare consumers right now.
But consumer advocates like Adam Rust of the Consumer Federation of America say it's a massive job and could lead to an uneven response for consumers.
It really shouldn't be the case that your zip code determines how the law is enforced and supervised.
In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
The Trump administration has ordered legal service providers to stop working with unaccompanied migrant children. The Department of the Interior sent the order to the Acacia Center for Justice, a nonprofit that says it assists nearly 26,000 children released from the custody of the Office of Refugee Resettlement. While it is a non-governmental organization, the Acacia Center receives funding from the federal government. Immigrant rights advocates say the move will force minors to represent themselves in the immigration court. This order is unlikely to impact children who are already represented. President Donald Trump says companies are preparing for another round of tariffs. U.S. businesses are the ones that pay the pseudo taxes on imports, so tariffs can impact their supply chains and costs as well as the prices they charge consumers. Amy Kiley has more.
It'll be in the neighborhood of 25%.
President Donald Trump is detailing new tariffs he says are in the works. They could affect vehicles, pharmaceuticals, and computer chips. Trump says he'll formally unveil them as early as April 2nd. That's the day after the previously stated deadline for an investigation into reciprocal tariffs. Trump says he's giving governments and businesses time to respond.
I've been contacted by some of the biggest companies in the world, and because of what we're doing economically and through tariffs and taxes and incentives, they want to come back into the United States.
That leeway comes as some American businesses appear to be struggling with Trump's rapid-fire trade changes. The National Association of Home Builders reports its confidence index is the lowest it's been in 5 months. The industry is dealing with new steel and aluminum tariffs. Other companies say the 10% tariff on Chinese imports is hindering their supply chains. Future tariffs could affect all sorts of industries.
So you might get a state like Indiana, for example, that has a lot of pharmaceutical business being hit much harder than a state like Iowa or Wisconsin. It's going to be interesting to see where the pain is felt if indeed these tariffs go through.
Businesses around the world also are dealing with the onslaught of change.
Every day there's a different tariff and a different plan. It remains to be seen what happens.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
Coming up, germs can live anywhere, even on your food. What experts say you can do to keep your produce clean and fresh.
And we're tracking a warm-up. Stay tuned to find exactly out when it will get here.
London's Natural History Museum is full of wonders. But there are some creatures here that I can never hope to encounter because they are extinct. Tonight, however, something magical is happening.
Tonight at 8 on WOUB.
I hear the echoes all through the meadows. Breathe in and let go. That sweet surrender. I've been running all through the night. You can knock me down, but I've got my will to survive. Rise up, rise up.
Together, we can make real change happen.
It's time to look at our home in a whole new way. Imagine carbon stored in nature on an incredible scale. Looking after it is essential because our future depends on the future of nature.
We've had some pleasant but chilly weather over the past few days here in Athens, and today was no different. Now we do have overcast skies, but again, temperatures are sitting at 24 degrees. Now, a reason for that is this high pressure system that's begun moving its way into our area, and that's just helped clear the skies out and actually given us some sunshine throughout the past few days, which has felt nice, but it has also dropped those temperatures. Now, thankfully, that snow we thought we were going to get the other day is not going to impact us the way we thought it was. Now, it might get Columbus and those areas about an inch of snow, but a majority of that snow is going to stay south of us, and they actually do have some winter storm warnings in effect, but that won't affect us. Now, again, taking a look, there is a winter weather advisory in effect for these areas, but again, only peaking at about an inch, but there's nothing here in the Athens area. Now, a majority of this cold is coming from up north, and it's because our weather system is technically stuck the way it is right now, and it's feeding a lot of that cold air into our area, which is why we've seen temperatures 10, 15 degrees in the morning, and it does increase throughout the day, so we'll get our temperatures 25, 30 degrees because it's been so sunny. Now, tonight, again, much of the same, 14 degrees. Some snowflakes, but again, a majority of that is going to stay well south of us. Tomorrow is going to be almost identical to today. We had temperatures sitting around 24, 25 degrees, and again, those morning and evening temperatures are going to be pretty low, and some scattered snow showers are going to be in the area. Now again, tomorrow, we are going to have that high pressure begin to move in, and then on tomorrow night, it will continue to move eastward. And Friday is when we start to actually see a little bit of a warm up. And that's because this high pressure begins to move our weather patterns around. And we're going to slowly see a gradual increase in our temperatures as we are going to see highs in the 40s and 50s as we begin next week. But it's not going to happen very quickly. It's going to be about 5, 10 degree increase every single day. But sunshine and no real rain or snow in the forecast up until the middle of next week. Now you can see here over the next 6 to 10 days, we are actually going to be near normal, which is crazy compared to what we've had over the past month or even in the last week. We've seen temperatures so low, and now a majority of the country is either above or at their normal temperature. Now, again, as we get into this weekend is when we're going to see those temps begin to rise. 39 is going to feel amazing compared to what we've had at the beginning of this week. And then on Sunday, we'll have temperatures get into the 40s, which again, is going to feel balmy compared to what we've been experiencing. And then Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I mean, it's going to feel like summer vacation for a lot of people. So be on the lookout for that. But again, check your weather apps as we may have some rain in the area, but nothing of note.
Right, yeah, and it's at the top of everyone's mind, when is the warm weather coming back to Athens,
it's gonna
right?
hit.
You show that heat map that's 10 days out. What day next week can we really be like, okay, maybe we don't need the winter coat anymore for February?
I think
right?
Tuesdays are cut off. You might be able to get away with shorts if you're feeling bold, but I don't know about
I'm not
all
going to be feeling that bold.
Yeah, I'm not either, but hey, you said might be able to hang the coat up. That's a good sign,
Maybe.
right? Just bring the jacket out. It's a lot better than what we have right now, so you can't complain about that. No.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, and it's still February, so we have a little bit of time. We can deal with the winter weather for a little bit more.
Exactly.
That's great. Thank you, Steve. Now, fruits and veggies are an important part of a healthy diet, but harmful bacteria can sometimes be found on them. Mandy Gaither has the details on how to keep your produce fresh.
It's recommended that adults eat up to 2 cups of fruit and around 3 cups of veggies every day as part of a healthy diet. But experts say you also have to keep that fresh produce safe.
Truth is that unwashed vegetables and fruits can be contaminated, not just with dirt, but also bacteria and fungi and viruses or pesticides.
Health officials say a large number of foodborne illnesses in the U.S. are due to germs on fresh produce, and safety starts at the store. The CDC says to choose fruits and veggies that aren't damaged or bruised and keep them separate from raw meat, poultry, and seafood in your shopping cart and grocery bags. The safest way to enjoy fresh produce is to cook it, but washing it in cold running water will also help.
Start with clean hands, surfaces, and utensils. Discard any damaged leaves. Rinse or rub until the surface of your produce no longer looks dirty. You should also dry anything you're not going to immediately eat before putting it away. So blot it with a dry paper towel, for example, or run it through a salad spinner.
Experts say to get fruits and veggies home and in the fridge in 2 hours or less and store them separate from raw meat, poultry, and seafood.
Now, there are exceptions. Berries, cherries, grapes, for example. To help them last longer, store them unwashed in the refrigerator and wash only when you're ready to eat.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Next in sports, postseason time is right around the corner in NCAA wrestling, and Ohio is ready to fight behind wrestler Garrett Thompson. Find out how he's become a leader for the Bobcats when we come back.
Meet Hazel Scott, a sensational pianist who jazzed up the classics and became famous.
The queen of Cafe Society.
Hollywood called, and TV made her the first black performer with her own TV series. But despite her riches and fame, as an early civil rights activist, Hazel Scott was simply erased from American memory.
Political blacklisting.
Don't miss The Disappearance of Miss Scott on American Masters.
Friday at 9 on WOUB.
It sounds like church, but it's speaking truth to power.
On gospel.
We see the rise of these gospel dynastic families.
They started playing it in the bars and the clubs. And, oh, we got so much criticism.
Choirs come of age as gospel goes mainstream.
Before you know it, gospel becomes an industry.
It makes you want to cry. It makes you want to sing.
Thursday at 9 on WOUB.
When you put voices together, there's an energy in the air.
Keeping Black traditions alive, it's so important.
This story was meant to be told.
This feels so good.
Black people can also have those stories too.
WOUB is recognizing members of our Cornerstone Society. The Cornerstone Society is a group that wants to ensure the future of public media in our region. It includes people across our area who value news, entertainment, and cultural programming, as well as the educational services WOUB provides. Also included are graduates of Ohio University who took part in the WOUB Student Professional Development Program. Thanks to the Cornerstone Society for their generous support. To learn how you can be involved, email woub@woub.org.
Ohio wrestling has dealt with a multitude of injuries this season, but redshirt junior Garrett Thompson has set up the Bobcats for success heading into the postseason. Newswatch reporter Mark Goldstein has more.
Wrestling is a results-based sport. For Ohio's Garrett Thompson, the results have dictated one of the strongest seasons in recent memory. This season, Thompson has ripped through the mat, going undefeated in duels with no signs of slowing down. In his first season wrestling at the 174-pound class, he has not missed a beat in his preparation. In fact, he relishes the change.
Kind of had the same wrestling style ever since I was little, and I think my freshman year of high school I wrestled 113, then I was 120, then 132, and then jumped up to 52, and then I just kept growing in college.
Hailing from the wrestling hotbed of Murraysville, Pennsylvania, Thompson has been entrenched in a rich wrestling tradition for as long as he can remember. His high school, Franklin Regional, is home to 2024 Olympic silver medalist Spencer Lee, who graduated from high school the year before Thompson arrived at Franklin Regional.
Obviously, when you're a young guy looking at like such an elite high school program, there's a lot of guys to look up to. Seeing how they always trained and just kind of trying to copy that almost, and just like I said, a lot of good guys to look up to. There's not only Spencer, but there's a lot of other dudes that went through that program a couple years above me that I've been watching wrestling.
This year, Thompson has built off his first trip to NCAA's last season. After watching his teammate Peyton Keller become an All-American, Thompson has similar goals set for himself this season.
This year I've been kind of focused on taking it one match at a time instead of thinking about the outcome of the whole season. My two main goals would be to win a MAC title and then All-American, which is place top 8 at NCAAs. So those are two things I've wanted to do ever since I was a little kid.
Thompson is the wrestler at the forefront of the dominant rotation of heavier wrestlers that have been carrying Ohio in duels. While the lightweights have notably struggled this year, the heavyweights have come through with clutch performances. Thompson is certainly one of those who have worn that mantle like a champ, taking on his opponents and disposing of them in relatively easy fashion for the majority of the year. He credits the work done behind the scenes internally. Ohio head coach Joel Greenlee and assistant coach Cody Walters have, according to Thompson, been integral in transforming the heavyweights into the dominant group today. The confidence for Thompson and the Bobcats have not wavered, though. Thompson keeps his focus on an individual MAC title for him and a team championship for the Bobcats for the first time since 2001.
I really think there is no ceiling with this team as long as we keep doing what we're doing. Obviously the goal is to win a team MAC title, and I don't think that's out of reach by any means. We're still just trying to prepare for the end of the year.
For Newswatch in Athens, I'm Mark Goldstein.
Flipping the wrestling mat over to the hardwood, Ohio men's basketball got off to a slow start last night against Central Michigan. A.J. Clayton helped to get the Bobcats back on track after Friday's loss. His three-pointer late set up the Bobcats to get the win in the final seconds as CMU misses the last shot right here, now setting up a huge matchup against Akron on Saturday for the Bobcats.
Still ahead, seals are not land animals, but that didn't stop this one. How one baby seal found itself all the way in New Haven, Connecticut.
You can turn things around at any time.
You are more than prepared, okay? We have it in the tank.
NFTs have expanded the scope of what I'm able to do.
Something I've been trying to sell for years, sold out in 3 days.
It's like mind-blowing to me.
When I play basketball, I feel like there's nothing that could stop me.
You don't see that many people that are Asian ranked on ESPN, and I wanted to show people that I could do that.
I saw myself spiraling downhill with my health.
He went from an insane amount of pills, and now he's doing 150 miles a week at almost 70 years old.
California now possesses a state-of-the-art prison.
We were placed in solitary confinement for decades.
Let's do a nonviolent act. Let's do a hunger strike.
It's not 100%, but I'm not going to quit.
If the worst thing happens, we'll still be a team.
Asking tough questions to those in power.
There is this consensus that Democrats are somehow out of touch with the voters.
All of us have to do a better job of seeing the very real pain that exists across this country.
What did you make of the high degree of dysfunction within the Republican conference?
I always felt that it was broken.
And covering events as they unfold.
This continues to be a dangerous situation. Almost everyone is either evacuated or lost a home in this fire.
For more than 70 years, WOUB Public Media has been the place where people in our region turn to learn how stories of the past ignite the imagination of the future. It's where information, entertainment, and education work together to inform, enlighten, and inspire generations. It's the place where the community gathers to hear and see our world in new and innovative ways. WOUB, the public media you trust that's worthy of your support.
Police in Connecticut rescued a baby seal that wandered far from the beach. Officials found the seal on the streets of New Haven this weekend, and authorities said the animal appeared to have an injured flipper. The seal was taken to the Connecticut Aquarium for rehabilitation, and experts at Mystic Aquarium estimate the baby male gray seal is just a few weeks old, and they say it's underweight. Once it recovers, they plan to release it back into the ocean. A daring rescue was caught on a body camera in the snow-covered mountains west of Vail Pass.
Rescue crews pulled a man out from under several feet of snow after two snowmobilers triggered an avalanche. The man had been trapped there for more than an hour before being buried, with only a small piece of his snowmobile's airbag sticking out as a clue to his whereabouts.
You know, we were all just expecting the worst, really. I mean, it'd been an hour plus that the slide had happened.
Wendell has been a member of the Summit County Rescue Group for 15 years, but says this rescue is the most remarkable one. Absolutely, but it's not quite snowmobile weather in Athens right now.
No, it's not. Steve, you mentioned it's going to be warmer here in a couple of days. When can we expect that?
You know, once we get through this weekend, we might be home clear for at least a few days, as opposed to this winter weather that we're experiencing right now. We might see 50-degree temperatures, and we can kiss that snow goodbye for a few days, as we're going to see temps nearing 50 by next week, and that'll be awesome with those overnight lows only dropping to about 35 degrees, so stay tuned.
Broadcast this evening. Thank you so much for watching.
And make sure to stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. Have a great night.
Support comes from